Today on Project Last Chance, we're going to finish setting our engine and transmission and install our Holley Performance Mid-Mount Front Runner Kit. Here's what we're going to install on Project Last Chance. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. Huge shout out to Holley Performance for providing these parts for this build. Their sponsorship means a lot to us. And keep an eye out in Street Trucks Magazine and C10 Builders Guide for the editorial coverage of the install of these parts. The first thing we'll get started with today is our Hooker BlackHeart Edition transmission crossmember. This crossmember is super heavy duty. It's got this unique M shape for extra clearance for our exhaust on either side of the transmission and is going to be a huge upgrade from the transmission crossmember we have in place right now. Then we can turn our attention to the front runner. Now we went with the Holley mid-mount blacked out front runner kit with the SFI certified damper. This kit comes with your power steering pump, your alternator, your AC compressor, all of the bolts, all of the gaskets that you need to take care of all the accessories on your build. Now the cool thing about this build is this water pump housing. It's going to have the brackets integrated right into it for all of your accessories, and if you ever have an issue with your water pump, you would simply replace the impeller. Then we can turn our attention to these trick two-piece valve covers. Now these valve covers come with the classic Chevrolet script. They're gonna house our coil packs and oil fill cap to really clean up the look of our build. Now before we get started on installing these parts on the truck, if you guys have any questions about a specific part of this install, or if you have any questions about these parts at all, please drop a comment below and we'll get back with you as soon as we can. Let's get into the install. Man, that looks so much better. Torqued everything down to 25 foot-pounds. Definitely lifted the drive line up a bit. Came with an 11/16 inch spacer. All right, we're good. Moving on to the front runner. God damn! Now that we have our stock crank pulley removed, it's time to turn our attention to the damper. Now, ATI calls for a 70 thousandths to 90 thousandths interference fit between the crank snout and the hub. So what you need to measure these two items are a micrometer and a bore gauge. All right, so we'll mic the snout first. .48826. Now we take our bore gauge. Make sure we got a nice snug fit. .48817. All right, so we take our crank measurement, 1.4826 minus our hub measurement, 1.4817. That gives us 0.0009. Let's run it. There is one more measurement you'll need to take when you're installing this damper. You'll need to know how far the crank snout is sticking out from the oil drive gear, and you'll need to know the bore length of the hub from the washer mounting surface. Once you have these two numbers, you'll know where the face of the crank snout needs to be in relation to the washer mounting surface. In this case, it's 5 centimeters. Assembling the hub is very easy. You'll find a dimple, which is right here on the actual hub. And then you'll find a dimple in the damper. You can see it right there. You'll line these two up. They even put a dimple on the backside for you. Now we install all of our flathead bolts. Once you get all these bolts installed, you torque them down to 16 foot-pounds. Now, this is a Torx Plus bit. It's a T40 Torx Plus. I do not have any Torx Plus bits right now, but I do have a towel. And it's not a crazy torque specification on these. So what we can do is fill up that extra space from our Torx Plus bit and torque it down. No damage to the head. Now that we have all our bolts torqued down, this is ready to go on the motor. We're not gonna key the crankshaft. So this crankshaft's totally smooth, there's no keyway, but there is a keyway in the hub. We're gonna install a bead of high temp RTV silicone sealant, and then we're gonna install this on the crankshaft.
And we're there. 5 centimeters. Cool.
These GM crank bolts are one-time use, so if you're doing this job, you're gonna want to get a new one if the kit did not come with one. Damn, dude, that front runner looks sick. Look at this thing, bro. Wow. Incredibly easy to put on. Holley really thought through the instructions. It's as simple as putting the bolts on, torquing them down, and just making sure that you follow those directions. It's a couple hours to put this thing on. Nothing super crazy, but the results are phenomenal. So let's get started on those two-piece valve covers. Definitely a low mile LS1. Now that we have our valve cover mounted, we're gonna throw on our MSD ignition coil packs. Now these are gonna mount right on this main valve cover, and then we're gonna have another piece go down on top of it. So what I'm looking at too is I don't think you'll be able to take the oil fill cap out without having to remove or move one of your coil packs. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal to have this good of a looking valve cover on your LS swap. Man, these valve covers in Front Runner are really gonna dress up our engine bay once we get the body back on the frame. If you have any specific questions about installing any of these parts, please comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any video suggestions or if you want to direct message me, you can reach me on Facebook or Instagram. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and of course liking the video. If you've already done so, thank you for your support. That's gonna do it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.